Good morning, everyone. My name is Andre Hargrave, and I'm the director of the Minority Business Development Agency for the Rocky Mountain region. And I'd like to thank everyone for joining. Today, we got a great speaker, great representative for the Department of Energy, and I'm going to bring him on in just a second. But first, I just want to talk a little bit about the MBDA, just give you a quick synopsis, less than a minute, basically of who we are and what we do. As a division of the Minority Business Development Agency out of the federal government, we are an autonomous unit down in Denver, Colorado. And our job is specifically tasked with helping minority, socially disadvantaged, and other small businesses grow and expand through economic development means, which basically means that our job is to help your company grow through acquisition, through governmental contracting, through financing, and other elements, including some international trade units. There's 40 minority business development agencies in the United States, and we have an additional 40 other organizations such as HBCUs and other university settings in which you can go and receive help. And my team can help you source that if you're not in the state of Colorado and those kind of elements. But without further ado, let me introduce this gentleman from the Department of Energy. Great guy, extremely knowledgeable. And Jimi Hendrix. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself and what he does and how he helps small businesses. And with that said, Jimmy, would you like to take over?
Absolutely. Thank you, Andre and Sarah, for putting this together. This partnership has been great, and I look forward to continuing this relationship for future years. So, like Andre said, I am Jimi Hendrix, the resident rock star at Department of Energy, and I am from DOE's Office of Energy Justice and Equity. So let me tell you a little bit about who we are and who we're not. So if I'll give a gold star to the first person that can find our office on this Department of Energy organizational chart. And I'll save you the trouble of looking through all the small print. We're not on it. The reason we're not is because in November, we changed our name from this office over here, the Office of Economic Impact and Diversity, to the Office of Energy Justice and Equity, which is awesome. I love the new name, but DOE hasn't caught up yet and got our new name on the org chart. This is a slide with some fun facts, but just to show you again who we are and who we're not. DOE is, 14,000 employees and 25,000 researchers across the country. We got the 17 national labs where all the science in the world happens. And until recently, had a lot to do with just primarily all the science, but we're going to get into where money's going these days. To learn a little bit more, this is a live link down here on the bottom. Everyone who's attending today will get a copy of these slides, and all these links are live. And I'm going to have to speak really fast because I got 56 slides to go through, and I don't think I'm going to get through all of them, but you'll get the idea and be able to do your own research after the briefing. So, like I said, we're tons of different program offices and staff offices and labs, but you can learn more individually about those clicking on that link, and it'll take you right to the office's portion of the DOE website. So who are we? The Office of Energy Justice and Equity is an advocacy office. We don't have tons of funding, or we barely have any funding. But what we do is work with all the program offices within the department, all those other boxes you saw on the org chart that do have funding and programs that are looking to work with businesses out in the energy sector. And our role is to help guide small and minority and disadvantaged businesses and communities to these opportunities. So going from big to small, DOE is looking at the ensuring America's energy security through prosperous energy. Our office is advocating, and then I'm working primarily with small and minority businesses to ensure this information gets down to you guys so you can apply if you see fit, or if it is a good fit. So until recent years, our office, like I said, we don't have money. We're chasing for scraps of anything. But this recent administration with all the IRA, the bill, again, the bipartisan infrastructure law, I'm sorry, I try not to use acronyms, Inflation Reduction Act. This slide, we started briefing last year and DOE had over 100 billion at that point. It's up over 200 billion now in different program funding streams. So just to let you know, we're not chasing for scraps anymore, but our office doesn't have the checkbook. We're trying to get you connected with the offices that do. So how do we do that? This is my team. My boss right here in the middle, Shalea Morissette, is an amazing person and has built this wonderful team. And what we are doing is doing our best to make all of this information digestible and getting it out there in front of businesses so you have the opportunity to apply for these funding streams. Oh, I'm sorry. So one thing we've done is every month we have an Ask Us Anything briefing with one of these different program offices or other federal agency friends that we have across the enterprise. And it's a great like hour-and-a-half webinar. We have Q&A and also, so this link here will take you to the main page where you can look at the schedule for the year and see if there are any you're interested in. What we also did is partner with Andre's team, the Minority Business Development Agency. And this time last year, we had a Minority Business Enterprise Summit there at Department of Energy, where we had, this is at the time was Undersecretary Dom Cravens, who became I think his title was director, but for Minority Business Agency. He has since moved on, but on that day, we signed an MOU with them. Here is our Secretary of Energy, our Director, Shalonda Baker, and them at the event. So this partnership has been amazing. It has really allowed us to get in front of a lot more businesses that we may not have had the opportunity to speak with. So one of the things we want to do is talk and stress a little bit more about what Justice 40 is. And a lot of folks have heard about it, but basically means certain federal investments, not all, but certain, and a lot of them must go, 40% must go to disadvantaged communities. So what does that mean? And what is covered? Pretty much anything in the energy sector is covered under Justice 40. So any program. So if you look to the left, anything climate change, but things that people don't think about, like training and workforce development, is also stuff that is covered in this. And it's not just a Department of Energy. This is a government-wide initiative. So I highly suggest, again, these links are live. Go in and learn more. Another thing to learn about is when you apply for these government funds, pretty much everything coming out of DOE is going to require a community benefits plan. This community benefits plan is going to show how you are using these government issued funds to benefit the community that you live in. And there are various ways it can do that, but importantly is this is going to be 20% of the package score for all like DOE. Again, not all packages, because some really don't have community benefits if it's research and development type funding, but most all program funds will require a community benefits plan. Part of that community benefits plan, you can identify if your geographic location is a disadvantaged community. And up until last year, DOE used the map on the right. So if you look on that map, it shows very few geographical areas that would really be a disadvantaged community. The criteria was very small, so there was just a limited set of questions. Now the entire government is using the CGEST map on the left. And again, there's a link there. You can go click on it. But you can drive right down to like the city block where your business may be and know if you're in a disadvantaged community. You can screenshot that, print it, include it as part of your community benefits plan. And these are all important checks of boxes if you want to win government funds. A little more information just stating that now geographic locations can be disadvantaged communities, where before the previous map didn't allow. All right, so we're gonna start talking about some of where the funding opportunities are now. And again, I'm gonna have to talk fast. But we have the Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Tech Transfer programs. There's a lot of money in it, and your company may not be in innovation or research, but you may be and not know it. So I highly suggest you click on here and see what the current announcements are. And I'll say current announcements because twice a year they make funding announcements, and this is kind of a cycle. So they'll do a phase one, and there'll be a smaller prize if you then you move to phase two if you're successful, and then apply for phase two, and you can see how it incrementally gets larger as you go across. Again, this is innovation and research. And if you've never worked with DOE in innovation and research, we have what's called a phase zero, which is a free, like 12-week program that you can utilize, and you get all these services here. And again, if you're when you click here, and if you're one of these subjects is something that you're into, then you can utilize this phase zero to help prepare yourself to apply for a phase one grant. All right. The Office of Clean Energy Demonstration is a brand new office in DOE coming out of, the bipartisan infrastructure law, because again, we need clean energy. So these are the subject areas that the office is funding, and their initial startup budget was 25 billion. That's a B, so that's a lot of money. Again, live link here on where all the current funding opportunities are from OCED. Manufacturing and energy supply chains is another brand new office. Again, these offices were created because there's funding that is needed to make sure that the infrastructure rollout is equitable and fair. So what they're focusing on is creating U.S. manufacturing. So they want to bring more factories and manufacturing back to the U.S. So a lot of their funding is tied to that. Again, live link, you can go find the information. They're also started some industrial assessment centers. Their first round went out, and these are all the current ones. The second round of funding is literally being announced as we speak. So it's going to add, I think, 20 more of these IACs, and it's opening up to minority serving institutions and nonprofits and small businesses that might apply. So very interesting funding opportunity. And this is just a little more information about those industrial assessment centers. Here's also several other programs are funding. I'm not going to go into all these, but all these links are live, and if it looks like something that your company can do, then I highly suggest doing your research. Excuse me. And a couple more. And we got the loan program office. Now these guys, their basement loans is 100 million. So if you're not looking, and these are loans, but they are flexible financing loans, and easier to obtain than some other capital, but not that easy. It's I mean, you're talking 100 million. So I don't have, it's above my pay grade, but again, click here for more information and what they do. This is their current areas of loan programming. And here's their information, because what they'll do is you can call and schedule a free, consult with them if you're at all interested in, borrowing 100 million from Department of Energy. Now, more funding opportunities coming out of infrastructure. So within Office of Indian Energy, a couple of programs. I do apologize because I just finished putting this slideshow together this morning, and I've been working with it to tailor it down because it was more than 56 slides this morning. I was getting rid of some of the old data. All right, research and development. So the Office of Energy Efficiencies and Renewable Energies, this office within, then they're got an $83 million prize for, emissions. I'm gonna blast through a lot of these slides because the information's on there, and I just want to make sure that I cover this deck and have time for some questions at the end. But you can see all the different, again, we're in the EERE area, so all these are going to be clean energy programs that are currently out right now, and we just added these yesterday. All right. Now, working with any government entity for funds is typically not that easy. Contracts are hard to come by and tougher to manage. Grants are same thing. Either they're still hard to come by, easier to manage, but what we have in DOE also is prizes, which are a lot easier to obtain and easier to manage. So some of the current prizes that are out there right now, I'm going to click through some of those, but I'm going to get to a slide. Okay, so here, and like I said, this link here to the Hero X site will bring you to all the live prizes at the time. And these are links you could open today, and there may be like 0 opportunities. You open it next month and there's 20 opportunities. It's just they haven't gotten here yet. So that's why I like to share these links with folks so they have them and can go through periodically and see new updates and new funding opportunities that come out. All right. So just the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, OSDBU office, they primarily work with businesses that are going to have contracts on DOE facilities. So at the headquarters facility, at some of the labs, so you will physically be on DOE facilities. So these are the folks you would work with for those types of contracts. All right. So I said working or trying to work with the government is not that easy. So I wanted to kind of briefly explain kind of where the funding's coming from. Is we worked real hard to try to follow the funding. All right. So between the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS Act, bipartisan infrastructure, I mean, that's $1.2 trillion. You're like, oh, that's a lot of money. Right. And just within DOE, I mean, and again, this is a dated slide too. This was from last year where we started. It's well above 12 billion. But when you look at how the fund or our pre-allotted funding was 650 million before, just to keep the government alive, to do what we were doing and having the same, crappy roads and grid, power grid that needs updated. So this, with the infrastructure bill, this 550 billion of new spending, where it's going is, you see there 284 billion towards surface transportation. So you're talking between Department of Transportation, Department of Interior, a lot of those companies are getting a big chunk of that. And then the other side is the core infrastructure. So the electric grid and the EV charging station rollout that ties in with the surface transportation. So that's where the bigger chunks of this funding is going. So out of our 550 billion, that's where it's going. And you got to know after how to find it is to know what it is. And a lot of this money is all coming out of here. This is the law, but it has a lot of different names and different agencies uses different names. So we wanted to equip you with some of those names. So if you're looking for where different funds are and where they may be and where to look for them, then we've given you some of the tools we use to go search for them. So you can go here on congress.gov and put in the law, and there it pops up. And I'm doing this because sharing information is power, and if you know where to go and who's got funds, these are all of the government agencies that are receiving these funds. So knowing how you fit in is important. So knowing what kind of industry you are, your subcontract, knowing your NAICS codes, and where and how to find opportunities can be easier if you're using the right tools to do your research. And same, I'm not gonna pour through this. I'm gonna share this with you, and these are just research tools I wanted to share with you, and more resources. I highly suggest everyone get on here and register for our newsletter. Because when we get new events or new information, new funding opportunities, we add them to our newsletter and we blast it out every month. And you'll get a little text or email, hey, the newsletter's updated, have a read. It's really good information every month. And this is my personal information. And I did talk a lot quicker than I thought I was. So it offers a lot more time for questions, which is great because that's what this is really all about. So, Sarah, I blasted through those slides a lot quicker than I thought. I was talking fast on purpose, but I could have slowed down. And I can definitely go back and cover anything that anybody wants to talk about.
Yeah, thank you. So everyone on the webinar, if you have any questions that you would like to propose to Jimmy, please feel free to either put them in the question and answer box, or you can raise your hand and we can unmute you and allow you to speak. Everyone, a second here to do that.
And I know
While
you
everyone
had
is
another
doing that,
briefer too. You can always allow them the time to brief, and that offers questions for the whole room to each other, however you want to manage that.
Sure. What was that, Andre?
well, I have a question for Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Jimmy, what do you find is one of the things that's holding a lot of companies back from doing business with DOE?
A few things. They don't know. They don't have the information. They don't know what funding opportunities are available and out there. And you can see I talked really fast over a whole bunch. I'm not an expert on any of those. We are just like an octopus in the office, like, okay, what you got going out? And because they're all on different platforms, there's no one button to DOE fundingopportunities.gov to go press and get all this. So the first thing is getting the information to even know what to apply for. B, are they ready to work with government? And that's where you guys can come in and help to make sure that they're enrolled in sam.gov and they have all the T's crossed and I's dotted to even apply for a contract or a grant or any type of funding opportunity. So between the lack of just information and knowing what's there and preparation. But that's, again, you guys have really helped us fill that void, because where we don't have an expertise, we send folks to MBDA like daily.
Jimmy, Sharika is wondering if you could describe the process for applying for the prizes and how that process differs from applying for a grant.
Similar process in applying, just easier process in getting awarded. So we'll start, I'll break it down from the top. So a contract is going to be awarded to work. Typically, it's going to be on a facility or with a government entity, and you're doing that service on like a time and materials type of contract. They're hard to come by because they usually take some, prior performance, or what am I trying to say? Once you get it, then they're very laborious to manage. I've been a contract officer representative managing these contracts, and even for the government rep, they're very laborious. I mean, it's just like managing anything, managing a contract. Applying and managing a grant is a little easier. You're usually applying to a funding opportunity, so that grant will be X number of dollars for X number, whatever the period of performance is. not based on time and materials, but probably a $100,000 grant for a year to do X, Y, or Z. Managing that is a little easier, both from the government standpoint and from the entity, because usually the funds there, you do the work and then just draw down the funds till they're gone. A prize is similar to that, but a little easier even. The selection process is a lot easier, usually because they're smaller dollar amounts, but the award is immediate. So you get all the funds up front, and then just at the end of that period of performance is usually whatever reporting requirements will be for the prize. And then prizes usually tend to be like a stackable type of thing. So they start small for a reason, so they can turn into future prizes if they find them to be lucrative. Hope that answered your question.
Yeah, Shrika, feel free to type in more if you wanted more detail on that. Jimmy, you had mentioned the SBIR program, but could you kind of go into more detail about what kind of businesses would fit that profile and a little more about I think you called it the Phase 0 assistance program, and then how you would go after a Phase 1 or Phase 2 proposal?
Let me blast back to there. Almost there. All right. All right. I clicked a few more times, so patience. Thank you. I'm sorry. It just took a mind of its own.
It's a good refresher.
It is. And again, this is a new deck that I'm still working on as we speak. That's what I'm saying. It's the beauty. I'm giving you live links because that way you don't have to go in and type them in. And I'm a one finger typer, so for me to type things in is trying to see what I'm looking for. So looking for the current ones. There, the announcements. Well, when I say I'm not an expert on any of this, I'm telling the truth. We are pointers and clickers and information gatherers. I'm trying to find where the current. There we go. Maybe though. You're just asking what type of companies, any company I think can do as long as you meet what the criteria is for that particular now you're still seeing just a slide, aren't you? I'm seeing
Yeah, we're seeing your
I clicked
SBIR.
on the link and now let me it's not
There we go.
so I just clicked on the link and went into their main thing. So clicked on eligibility, and so as far as what type of company, any nonprofit, that's for STTR.
Yeah, so for the SBIR, that would be for-profit businesses that would be in Colorado's advanced industries, would you say? Science and technology businesses?
Yes. What I'm looking for is their current what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever their current topics are. That's the word. But I don't even see the link for it.
Yeah. And if I may, as you look for that, Jimmy, one of the things that we can also take a look at is when we're looking at SBIRs and STTRs, even though they're technology driven, a lot of times there's some gray area in between the technology, right? So everything isn't always like
Everything.
you're inventing the newest hovercraft, right? A lot of times there can be elements of support in between that type of technology that a SBIR, STTR may fit.
Andre is just saying, I clicked on the topics and you see there's translational neural devices. It's not just, it's technology. They're looking for like groundbreaking things, and that is typically what these SBIRs are looking for.
Correct.
See, here are the current topic areas, and
one of the things that we can help with is we can actually reach out to the principal investigators of these types of grants and ask and see, or show you how to actually inquire if what you're looking to do will fit within these subject matters. So just looking at the title sometimes is kind of misleading because there's a lot of information that's in the gray.
true. Get back.
So Andre, you were just speaking to assistance, but Clarence is wondering what kind of assistance does DOE provide for the grant applications themselves, or do you guys farm that out to your technical assistance partners?
From DOE, I can share information, but I can't show any preference to any entity. And what we typically do, and I don't have that expertise anyway, I'll say, you need to go see my buddy Andre at NBDA. They have all the resources. If he doesn't do it personally, he'll have the resource to set you up with. You may need a lender that I don't have access to. I mean, they have been our greatest resource this year to help our mouthpiece get out to all of you guys.
Correct. And what Jimmy just stated actually is the reverse for us. So we can take personal interest in our client's success, but what I can't do is I can't call an agency to apply influence, right? So a lot of times what will happen is, yes, we're more than happy to help champion these battles, but when it comes time to talk directly with the agency, it will not be us. So we would inform you of what you need to say, and then you can reach out to that agency, that principal investigator, and ask those questions. And then we can work with you on the answers of those questions and help you put things together. So we do have proposal writers and bid writers on our staff. We're not going to write your technical element. You have to come up with that, but we will help you assemble your packet and get that delivered, help you deliver that packet. That helps.
Yeah.
And just wanted to point that out again with the SBIR. So like twice a year, they'll put a new batch of topics out. So I just kind of scrolled through the current topics. I think they're early, and I'll have to go look at the timing, but so twice a year, it's gonna be new topics. Again, go in and looking and seeing what the current funding topics are. And then for phase 0, I'm not certain if you have to have something lined up for one of the phase 1 topic areas to use phase 0. I don't think so, but I don't want to say just anybody can apply, even if they're not attached to a topic area. So I don't want to say that out loud, but I want to say that's what I think. But you can definitely click. Well, I'll click and see what it tells me.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, everyone who is registered for the webinar will receive a copy of Jimmy's slides. They all have links, so you'll be able to click out to these and do your own research. If Jimmy's okay with it, we can also share his contact information. You guys can reach out to him with any questions as well.
And it's all in the slide deck too, so how and where to reach me.
Perfect. Yeah, so it looks like the small business must have the capability to respond to the topics. So
okay,
you should have something in mind there. Okay, if we have any other questions for Jimmy, again, please raise your hand or put them in the Q&A box. I believe he's going to stay on while we bring on our next speaker for a quick introduction. This will be Paul Stan. He is a lender with B-Side, and he's going to do a quick overview of their programs and how they might be able to assist you. And then he will also be available to take some questions. So we'll give Paul a minute to pull up his camera and his slides
You want
here.
me to stop sharing?
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Sarah. I'm gonna I'm gonna have to pull over here in a bit. I'm driving between meetings, and so
Oh,
I will
sorry,
go-
Paul. We put you on early. We put him on the spot.
yeah, no worries. I can put my camera on in just a second, but I will definitely share my slides. So just give me one quick minute here.
Okay, perfect.
Excellent.
I'll also mention while Paul is doing that, just because we were on the topic of SBIR and STTR, Andre and I both work with what's called the Colorado Small Business Development Center's Tech Source Commercialization Program. So anyone who is interested in learning more about SBIR, STTR, with any of the federal agencies, including the Department of Energy, feel free to reach out to me afterwards. I can put my contact information in the email as well. The TechSource program provides free consulting to businesses that are looking to go after some of those SBIR topics and awards. They'll review your proposal. They have 8 to 10 to 12-week virtual or in-person accelerators where you can also work on bringing your product to commercialization. So just another resource in addition to that phase 0 project that our consultants can help you with. Like I said, I'll send that information out as well after this. Sorry, Paul, for putting you on early. Oh, you're muted.
Yep, no problem. Thanks, Sarah. Can you see my slide okay?
We sure can.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, thank you so much for your time, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm just gonna go. Can you remind me how much time I have?
We have about 20 minutes left. So if you want to do your
Okay.
presentation, then we will take questions. And I don't think anyone will be mad if they get some time back in their day. So go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna take me more than 10 minutes to go through it. Wonderful. Well, yeah, I work for an organization called B-Side Capital and B-Side Fund. We're going to focus on the B-Side Fund today. B-Side Fund is a small nonprofit organization. We're part of Colorado Lending Source for about 10, 15 years. And then we rebranded. We did a full rebrand a couple of years ago where we went from Colorado Lending Source to B-Side. And under the B-Side umbrella, there are 2 companies, B-Side Capital and B-Side Fund. B-Side Fund is primarily engaged with small business owners who are looking for financing that they are not able to get from a typical financial institution like a bank. So that's why we call ourselves not your typical nonprofit lender. So our mission has always been to foster the economic growth of diverse small businesses and to really help help them get access to responsible capital. I'll talk a little bit about, kind of what our direct lending looks like and our small business loan programs. So we have a variety of different financing options, and these are all, from different sources. So we work very closely with community partners such as, Denver SBDC, with a lot of different, we do a lot of different fundraising. And we work with our bank partners as well. Sometimes they can, give us grants or very, very low interest loans to meet their kind of like Community Reinvestment Act, quota. And so with that, we pull it all together and we make these loans. We typically are able to do loans from $20,000 to $350,000 loan amounts. And we do them for 3 to 10 year terms, and our max interest rate currently is prime plus 4.5. So it's pretty large in terms of interest rate. Prime is currently at 8.5. So we're looking at close to like that 13% interest rate. Again, because 12%, because because we try to help small businesses that don't qualify for bank financing, we do have to recuperate some of our costs. We're again a small nonprofit, so that's the reason for that higher interest rate. However, we don't have any prepayment penalties, so the goal is really to get you as a small business what you need to continue to grow, to move forward, and then hopefully with the hope that in the next 2 to 3 years you either pay us off or you go back to the bank and are now qualified for a bank loan and can refinance this loan at a lower interest rate. So we're just trying to bridge that gap and really really help small businesses in need in these underserved markets. Some of our requirements and use of proceeds, we mirror a lot of what we do to what the SBA requires. So some of those things are personal guarantees for any owner that has at least 20% ownership. We try to take collateral as as a backing for our loan. So any kind of collateral that you own for your business. We typically don't look at personal collateral such as personal real estate. We try to stay away from that. But if you own a bike shop, for example, we'll put a lien on the business assets of that bike shop. And we usually do want you to come in with some contribution. Say you're asking for $300,000 to hire some new people, or you need some working capital for some marketing. We want you to invest about 30,000 of that of your own cash into the project, just so that we can see a little bit of skin in the game. If you have already invested some money in the past 6 months and it equates to that 10%, then we'll take that into account as well. And we also sometimes look at life insurance as a kind of an above and beyond of that collateral that we take, but this is not very, very common. The funds can be used for a variety of reasons. You're looking for working capital, like I mentioned, hiring people, marketing costs. You're looking to buy some equipment. We try to stay away from any kind of vehicles, so equipment that will stay in your business, that you'll use day to day, versus cars or trucks or that kind of thing. Inventory, we even can help with, you purchasing a business. And then refinancing debt is kind of a really highly utilized use of funds for our programs, because a lot of businesses start with credit card debt or start with, more like predatory lending, those loans that you can get through maybe PayPal or some other organizations that are really high interest rate, or they have, they ask you to pay weekly or monthly based on your accounts receivables, and they're a little bit costly. So it's a great program to help you refinance those and put them all under one term loan. And yeah, the application process, we try to keep it pretty simple and user friendly. Typically when we have conversations like this or presentations, or maybe after the call or in the next few days, you guys want to reach out, I'm happy to have conversations and talk about your specific project, just to kind of identify if it will be eligible for what we're looking for. We do want to see businesses that are not pure startups, so we want you at least in business for 6 months. So we put you through that eligibility check. That's either on our website, or again, I can do it over the phone. And then if you pass that eligibility check and you kind of meet those requirements of 6 months in business, we typically try to see a credit score of 630 or more. Then we go into the application and document collection phase, where our loan officers look at your application and collect the documentation needed, typically financial documentation and the use of funds documentation. So if you're looking to buy a business, obviously we'll need seller financials. If you're looking to buy equipment, we'll need that invoice for that equipment, and so forth. Once we have all that, we'll review and underwrite and underwrite your loan. We also have a loan review committee. So we go and present it to our loan review committee, which is comprised of, lenders and SBDC and community partners. And they will review it with us and put a stamp of approval. And once it's approved, then we'll approve it in-house as well, close and fund it. All of this can take anywhere from 45 to 60 days, but it's always faster if all parties involved have open communication and documentation can be provided in a timely manner. If in some instances we do have situations where a borrower is not going to fit our financing requirements, and so we make kind of tailored recommendations for you, what you would either need to do. So we'll give you some technical assistance resources, or other kind of micro lender organizations in town that may have different requirements than us. For example, Colorado Enterprise Fund is one of those that we work with pretty closely. They can do pure startups. Like if you just have an idea and a business plan, they can look at it, for example. Those kinds of situations. But yeah, this is our our website is a really great resource. Again, we also have some blogs in there, and it's all, this website, B-Side Fund, is purely designed with borrowers in mind. So I would highly encourage you to check it out. And obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and my team. So I am the client relations officer for Colorado. I have kind of these, front end conversations with borrowers. Sandra and Katie are the loan officers who are going to be working side by side with you on those processes, and the loan application. And Marie Peters is our B-Side Fund director. So she'll probably be at the closing table with you and help you navigate that. But yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Paul. Let me just open it up for questions. Again, if you have any questions for Paul, or I believe, yep, we have Jimmy still on, feel free to raise your hand or enter it in the chat box. We will just give it a second here. And if not, we'll give you a couple minutes back on your day. And again, we'll send out Paul's presentation as well after the webinar. That will include his contact information. So you'll be able to reach out to Paul, as he referenced. He's even wearing a branded coat. Look at that.
Christmas party presents.
Nice. All right, I'm not seeing any questions coming through here. Any last thoughts anyone wants to share with the group before we let everyone go?
Yes, Sarah, I would like to. Can you hear me?
Go for it. Yes, we're just waiting for your words of wisdom.
Oh, my words of wisdom. Okay. So what I like to tell the audience out there is, actually, I really appreciate everyone coming. We have these monthly, but one of the things, as an actual business owner, someone who actually owns a government relations firm and also sits on the other side of the fence as a director of a nonprofit governmental entity, I can tell you firsthand, the hardest thing about doing any of this is knowing someone on the inside. And it is extremely, extremely difficult, and it's expensive. One of our clients right now are I think they're in Washington, D.C. or somewhere going to an event. It can be very, very expensive. But right now, what we have on the screen is we have Jimmy from the Department of Energy, and then we got Paul also from B-Side. So they're on the inside. So these are the opportunities where we can actually, start to build that relationship and start to really, I'm gonna use a business development term, sorry, both Paul and Jimmy, but to penetrate those entities. And this is how it starts. This is the easiest way of doing that. So if you have questions, even if you don't want to present them here, reach out to these gentlemen and really get to know them. Because like I stated, they're on the inside, we're on the outside. And that's what I would like to add.
Thank you, Andre. We do have one quick question here from Sharika. It's for Jimmy. She's wondering if certifications such as 8A Small Business or Women Owned, are they helpful for the grant application?
Always, certainly, especially because we're working with all the different program offices that do have funding opportunities going out, to make sure it has inclusive language in it, that we're looking for diverse businesses, and may not specifically state you have to be a woman-owned or veteran-owned, but we definitely are always looking in favor of all of our, I call them like protected class businesses, whether it be woman-owned, veteran-owned, disabled-owned, minority-owned, and just small businesses in general, because I am a fan of small business across America, and I will advocate for that, even if it's outside of the energy landscape.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Well, one thing that I would add, we, on the B-side capital part of things, where we do a lot of SBA 504 and 7A loans, we do have a lot of communication with SBA, and I know SBA 8, I know the 8A certification is an SBA certification. And my friend Steve White over at, the Denver SBA office, he would be a great resource for this question. I think he always says that the 8A certification is always a good one, because it gives you kind of an in into the government contracting world. So I would highly recommend doing that if that's kind of the path you're looking for.
Yeah, and I think Andre might have hopped off, but I'll toot his horn. He is an expert at walking businesses through their 8A certification. So definitely reach out to the NBDA after, if that's something that you're interested in. Yes, we're talking about you. You're muted, Andre.
I was actually saying, I couldn't have said that any better. Thank you. Right? Thank you for the accolades there. But yes, the NBDA, we have a whole team of individuals strategically on the certification side. So not only can we help you get certified, we can explain strategically how they work across the different agencies, and even on the municipal level, because every state has a different set of certifications, and we can help you with those. So just to put a plug in for the NBDA. Thank you.
Yeah, and Andre did do a webinar on that a few weeks ago. So if you'd like a copy of that, feel free to respond to the email that you'll get from me this afternoon, and I can send that to you. Okay. All right, we just had another thank you. So, all right, I think we will call it there. Our next webinar is 2 weeks from today. It is about protecting your intellectual property. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office will be putting that on for us. So I will include that link as well in today's email. Please join us for that one, again, 2 weeks from today. And thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Andre. We appreciate your time.
Thank you all.
Just hit send, Sarah, so you should get the slide deck in your box any moment.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.